Raise your hand and say, I affirm.
I affirm.
Pravin Jamnadas Gordhan was born on the 12th of April in 1949 in Durban. It's there where he led and organized the students and civic movements from the 1970s to the 1980s. When working at the then Durban's King Edward Hospital, he was expelled by the hospital's administration for involvement in resistance politics in 1981. This forced him to work with the then banned South African Communist Party and the African National Congress underground structures. After the release of Nelson Mandela and the unbanning of political parties in the early 90s, Gordhan played a pivotal role in South Africa's transition. He served as ANC participant in the multi-party talks at the Convention for a Democratic South Africa, CODESA. Until March 1998, Gordhan served as ANC Member of Parliament. In the same year, he joined the South African Revenue Services as Deputy Commissioner and was promoted to head the tax collector as Commissioner in 1999. It was here, during his more than a decade service at SARS, where he was lauded for transforming the institution into one of the world's most efficient tax bodies.
He didn't work at SARS. He fixed SARS and made it work. It was later that it was virtually destroyed. But wherever he worked in government, he made sure that things worked, and they worked correctly and worked well. And he paid some price for that.
Gordhan held various ministerial posts in successive ANC-led governments, serving as finance minister from 2009 until 2014 and COGTA minister after the 2014 general elections. Gordhan was then brought back to the finance ministry following the infamous December 2015 removal of Des van Rooyen. Gordhan served as finance minister until his axing in 2017.
I want to also appreciate the fact that despite some of the differences we might have expressed today, we agree on a number of objectives. Firstly, we want to stop and end state capture. Secondly, we want to fight corruption wherever we find it and fight them on a non-political party basis, but indeed as South Africa as a whole. Thirdly, we want to improve governance in our institutions and increase accountability.
As finance minister, Gordhan traveled the globe attending major international finance summits and meetings where he and other leaders from the Global South advocated for a fair and balanced financial architecture.
The challenge is whether each of us makes our individual efforts to depreciate our currencies so that we become more competitive, or whether we recognize that we need to find a win-win formula on a structured basis around the globe. Developing countries have access to about 47% of shares in the World Bank. We need to still get beyond the 50% point. There are similar challenges within the IMF as well.
Minister of Finance, Pravin Gordhan.
But it was during former President Jacob Zuma's tenure in which tension between the two widened, notably after several media exposés of the influence of the Gupta brothers in the running and looting of state institutions. Gordhan became a vocal critic of President Zuma, a move which saw him fired from cabinet in April 2017. During his appearance at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry in November 2020, Gordhan related how his vocal criticism of Zuma had led to him being ostracized and hounded by some political leaders and media institutions through the peddling of fake news.
The only way to, inverted commas, get rid of some of us was now to continue with this campaign of harassment charges and accompanied by a well-orchestrated media stroke digital campaign as well. And that was against a very well-held resolution or resoluteness amongst ourselves that we were not going to resign and that we would do the job that we need to do.
However, it was during his tenure at the helm of the Public Enterprises Ministry that Gordhan was blamed for the collapse of state-owned enterprises, with pundits describing the period as a major blot in his once celebrated legacy.
We too hold our candle and our flame high to Minister Pravin Gordhan.
But for many of his comrades and admirers, Gordhan was a crusader against corruption and an advocate for ethical leadership.
I'd just like to pay tribute to Pravin Gordhan's tenacity, his incredible intellect, his capacity to think strategically, and never to waver from the values he believed in as a young man and fought for all his life.
He was a minister that led with integrity and honesty.
The one thing Pravin constantly insisted is that the emphasis in public servant is on servant, that we are here to serve, and in that he instilled a anti-corruption consciousness.
Pravin Gordhan retired from active politics and public service after the May 2024 general elections. Tsepo Ikaning, SABC News, Johannesburg.